All right, man. And again, I live in Ballard, and it's just a conversation I'm having with my people, my neighbors, and I appreciate your time. What was your dog's name again?
My dog's name is Rio.
Rio, that's right. But again,
I like the denim.
I just start, Nathan, tell me about yourself. Where were you born and raised?
Born and raised in Seattle, Washington, at the University of Washington. I'm 25, gonna be 26 on the 23rd of January next year. I love Washington. Traveled all over, and I always find my way home.
Tell me about your home life. What was it like growing up for you?
Growing up was it had a lot of greats. I used to live in Magnolia. I used to live in Queen Anne. My old neighbor used to be Robert F. Kennedy's son. Magnolia, which is a stark contrast to our homeless situation currently. But overall, I feel very blessed to have a wide variety of experiences. Makes you. If I only had good experiences, I could honestly say that I wouldn't be. By good experiences, I mean like fortunate experiences. I wouldn't be grateful for the everyday things that were so common during those blessings.
Okay.
I think that kind of made sense.
You went to high school in Magnolia?
Not quite. I went to Bothell High School primarily for 1 year, Ballard High School for only a semester, and Ingram for like a week or two till they've had space at Ballard. Yeah.
Tell me why you were jumping around so much. What was it?
Well, basically my father got deported. Yeah, back when I was around 13 or 14. Yeah.
What was that like? What was the story there?
Honestly, the way he described it, like he was either facing the possibility of staying there for like 20 years in prison, or he just opted for deportation so his life could continue. And honestly, while it was grim, you'd rather not just stay in a cell and just let the time go by. You want to make it, fruitful.
Right.
Yeah.
But for you, your parents were married, like you. Any siblings?
Yes, I have a sister.
So there was
half sister, but a whole sister.
Yes.
Yeah.
But there was the four of you in the household.
Okay, somewhat.
Okay.
Mostly my grandparents raised me.
Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha. Well, I'm curious, how come?
Well, my mother wanted to make sure that every day was, like a good day for me. So she was on top of making sure to get me to school, make sure to get me, food, plenty of food. A little bit chubby as a kid. I was happy with that. And just, housing, paying for housing bills, and, always trying to get all these goodies for Christmas time, so she was on top. She housed me, fed me, clothed me, everything.
Your mom did?
Yeah.
But
yeah.
You were living with your grandparents?
After school, she would drop me off.
Gotcha.
At school, then my grandparents would pick me up.
I see.
Yeah.
Gotcha. But when you were 13, you said your dad got deported.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I mean, what was that like for a 13-year-old?
I kind of expected it. He was a troublemaker, but I love the guy,
What do you mean troublemaker? What are you talking about?
Yeah, he was a man. He was the man, how can I say, he had this way about him, and while he was doing this and that to get money illegally, basically that money was insured, and he would never talk about it, but every time we would go camping to the tri-state areas, like Wenatchee and everything, he would get the whole car filled with fruits and vegetables and 2,000 eggs. And every single time we went camping, which was 3 times a year, he would just afterwards he'd drive us to downtown and just drop off all those goodies to the homeless shelters. Half of that for this shelter, the half of that for this shelter. He never talked about it, as you should with charitable.
You never asked hey Dad, what are we doing? Why are you doing this?
No. It was just implied, everyone needs a hand sometimes, and you really can't go wrong with helping people with food and clothing.
I understand. So he's just showing you when you're a kid, like, this is what you do.
Exactly, and he never brought it up. I was the only one to remind him about it, and just like, hey, pops, that was a great influence. When you do something nice and charitable and like from the heart, you really shouldn't do it. I'm sorry, you really shouldn't say that you're doing these charitable events, because then it's somewhat like fame. There's like you gain a fame from it, if that makes sense.
Just do it to do it.
Exactly.
Because you mean it.
Not for the fame. Best things, you get to help them out, and you also get to lead by example. Yeah.
So, your dad gets deported. Is it like, this is? Do you say goodbye? I'm sure.
Yeah.
I mean, what? Because in my mind, I can't fathom that. I'm trying to wrap my head around like my own dad, and all of a sudden I'm like, wait, you're what?
Well, God rest the soul of your father, sir. Like, I don't know how to answer it, but I mean, you seem to have raised a great son. Like, for real, like you're going out there and you're trying to bring attention to the troubles of the masses. Being that we're kind of living in an area or a situation that we don't quite have a lot of resources to publicize our issues. It's nice that you're bringing a light to our issues. Yeah. Us as in the homeless community.
Yeah. Well, so you graduated from high school or no?
No, I had to drop out after 10th grade so I can go ahead and try to support my mother. I started working construction, doing residential remodels. And ever since I started working at 14, I've never been fired. And I'm just having some trouble finding a place that'll hire me. I've never been fired, and I've been working since 14, and I'm 25 now, so that's 11 years. It's a good streak.
I mean, that is a huge responsibility.
It's one that I love to do.
But at 14, is it just, I just got to do what I got to do? Or is it like, when you say support your mom, you guys, I assume, were living in a house or something? Some kind of?
It's more so of an apartment.
An apartment?
Yeah.
And then you started to have to pay rent for that apartment?
Yeah, I was taking care of the rent. So, if, heck, we did our part, and that's all I can say, my mother didn't want to give me all that sort of thing by herself. She was still working on her, as well. But, I wanted to do as much as I could, but she just said, no, just half. Just half. I want to take care of it all, but if you really want to, just half. She didn't want to burden me with that,
Thing.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you had to drop out of school in order to do this, because if you didn't do that,
we would have stayed living on the floor of our grandparents' apartment.
Gotcha.
So we decided to move into our own apartment, give them some space, and
I see.
Yeah.
So how long did you guys do that?
Well, we're still doing it. I mean, at the end of the day, the job to love and care for one another never ends.
Sure, that, but I'm just saying, you lived in this apartment for how long?
We usually lose interest after about a year and a half of living in the same place.
Okay.
The price was always manageable and within the same price range, sometimes a little bit less, sometimes a little bit more. But I'm not too sure. I mean, we're just living when we can from apartment to apartment.
Yeah.
We're just having difficulty now, though.
Yeah, but tell me about that right now. You guys are living, you said, in the car.
Yeah.
And you've been there for like 4 months?
About 4 months or so.
Like, there's a gap between apartments. What's going on there? What's the situation?
Well, I should say first off that this isn't our first time being homeless.
Okay.
The first time it was when my father got deported, right? So then we had to live in the car with 2 dogs at that time, but that's a whole different situation. And now that gap between living in an apartment, as we once did, after we situated ourselves to living in a car now, it really came down to the fact that I was trying to move her to Philadelphia, so the money that I was trying to take care of her fully. And I wanted to be able to have my dollar go all the way and further than the dollar would in Seattle, Washington. You can get a house over there for like 70, 80,000, and that's a 3-story, When it comes down to it, though, it's just a little bit difficult, Because you can get an FHA and everything, and then she doesn't want me to take care of her fully. And both of my parents are like that way. I want to support them. I want to love them. They're just like, come on, son, live your life. You live your life. We don't need help. But like hell, they took care of me when I was in diapers, and I would like to return the favor. And it'll always be a struggle, but it's a fight that I want to live and fight in. Yeah.
Well, so you and your mom and Rio are in the car.
Yeah.
And you guys have been doing this for 4 months.
Yeah. We drove across the countries.
Okay.
All across the states. Took us about a week or so to drive across to Philadelphia. And I was just hoping to have her spend some more time with her grandmother, her mother.
In Philadelphia?
Yeah, and help out her brother when, because he's been taking care of her over there.
Okay, gotcha. Gotcha. But then you guys drove back here.
Yeah.
How come?
I felt pretty bad about it, but I was inspired by how my uncle went ahead and, made that situation possible of having a home in Philadelphia and taking care of the family.
Right.
Basically, people in Seattle are a lot more rich than people in Philadelphia, and I wanted to do what I saw him do, which was come to Washington, work, he's a contractor, right? And then take that money and bring it back to Philadelphia,
Gotcha. So you came back to work?
Yes.
And to save up money?
Yes.
And then go back?
Exactly.
Gotcha.
I wish I could get her to just would have stayed there and everything, but she was worried about me. And I feel a little bit guilty because, I don't know.
Sorry, so what do you mean she was worried about you? You stayed in Seattle and she went?
No, I went with her to Philadelphia because, that's a crazy long drive.
Right. You drove with it. Then you flew back here or what?
We both drove back here as well.
Okay, I see. She didn't want you to come back here by yourself is what you're saying?
She didn't. She didn't.
Gotcha.
It's kind of like the struggle. It's like, Mom, I got wings. I can fly. But
I can leave the nest.
Exactly. Yeah.
But she's always going to be your mother.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's right from the heart.
Gotcha. Well, tell me about, your open asked you why you were here and just kind of coping. How did you learn how to cope with substances? How'd that come up? And at what age?
Well, I should say that it sounds crazy being that I'm doing what I'm doing recently, but I started smoking cigarettes, drinking, and smoking weed almost when I was 21, because I knew the body had to develop, and if I introduced anything, then I'd be a bit wonky. But then again, there was just something about that ideology that I valued, but I also wanted to experience everything which I could under the sun.
Curious, right?
So I've done it all, everything I can get my hands on. In all honesty, really the thing that's most difficult for me to do is just I don't know how to lead from that one. I don't know how to answer that one. But basically, I get high. I get high. I was just passing along to get to my place and get high.
Right.
Yeah.
What is your substance of choice?
Oh, I love my fentanyl.
Gotcha.
Do you know what a gilf is?
No.
God, I love fentanyl.
Gilf. Is that you?
A gilf?
Yeah.
Like a grandmother I'd like.
Do you call yourself a gilf or what?
Yeah.
I've never heard that one.
That was from Family Guy.
Well, what were you doing before fentanyl? I mean, it's just
that
whatever.
That was it. I went from weed and alcohol, drinking pretty heavily, to going to fentanyl, and
really?
then I let up on the drinking. I was a bottle a day kind of fellow with a 6-pack on top of that, in addition every other day.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mushrooms are great for discouraging that sort of stuff from what I saw.
Yeah.
After I had my first experience with mushrooms, I laid off the alcohol for about 2 months.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A month and a half.
Yeah. What do you think you're coping with?
Oh, crud. I'm just trying to find a little bit of comfort. Sleeping in the car and being cold at night and being cramped up and waking up on standard without it like 3-4 times a night. It's just something to help me go to sleep.
We'll put sleeping in the car in quotes. Sleeping. My guess is you're not sleeping very well at all.
No, it's
and sleep
barely.
deprivation, that could work you.
I know I gotta quit. I know it's bad for you. I know it's bad for your health. Yeah. Ultimately, though, it just helps me sleep, and it helps me feel a little bit warmer than I would have.
Yeah.
These winter months, I feel cold, but ultimately everything is just an excuse. I know that if I decided to get clean, I know I could. It just, the question that would be, it was like, when would I try to relapse,
Well, I guess from what you said, this kind of begs the question of, Nathan, what's stopping you? Because I'll leave it open-ended right there.
I can't say I have anything that I can choose to defend my choice of continuing. It's just something that's difficult, that I'd rather not go through while I'm homeless. Being in the car, being cold, being unable to sleep, all those symptoms are only amplified when you're withdrawing. And I know I could have, possibly in a better situation, prioritized that, but everything's an excuse. Everything's an excuse. If it's not physical comfort that I'm trying to increase, it's my emotional comfort. Everything's an excuse, and I really can't blame anyone. I refuse to blame anyone other than myself. No one forced me, no one laced anything, no one did nothing.
So to kind of clarify what you're saying, it's like, because it's so difficult being in the car, like this is like the substance is a source of comfort.
Yes.
But if there was like I wasn't in that situation and things kind of lined up, I had housing, etc., then maybe I think about, now I'm going to tackle and get in, recover, whatever.
That's it. That's bingo. I mean, that's exactly it. But at the same time, I really do want to re-emphasize, it's all just an excuse.
Yeah.
Sure, those things like, a place that's semi-warm, that'd be great to help me get better.
Which helps out with, that is comfortable.
Yeah.
In a sense, it's like, there's so many things that from what you're saying, I'm like, oh, I understand that. That makes sense. I get it.
Yeah. That's exactly it.
Yeah. Nathan, is there something that you'd want to say to the people of Seattle?
Okay. I like to say, if I could speak to the people of Seattle, I would like to tell them that we all got more in common than we have different. It's like, I don't know who it is or how we came to be, but each one of us try to focus on the differences between one another than the similarities. And frankly, we just all have more in common than we have different. I like to just get that point across and treat people like, they are your brothers and sisters, because that's how I think we are anyways.
Yeah, I think that's called being human. Like, we're all human.
Exactly. So you're the man, and I really do appreciate you allowing me to speak to the masses and,
Yeah, man. I appreciate your time. It's good to hear your voice. Thanks for sharing part of your story.
Thank you.
All right, man.
Thank you.
Yeah. Let me get that little mic.
Yes.
Yeah, bring that down.
Okay.